Yeah, actually, I gave someone my camera called Finding Ian. He has to return the camera. I don't want to bring drama in your channel. But if I need actually text him, tell him I need my camera this week. The only person I'm asking to return my stuff is Finding Ian. Please return my GoPro. Guys, one day I'll tell you a story what happened.
Welcome back to the channel. This is Maxwell Lumumba Africa, and today we are going to have a real talk, a real conversation. First, I'm going to discuss about MARWA demands his GoPro back from Finding Ian. So, Shameless Ian is still at the villa after being called out. Secondly, I'm going to discuss about DEE MWANGO leaves fans shocked. Kino will be staying at my mansion. What about your husband Pero? Aren't you a married woman? Ladies and gentlemen, for those who are not subscribed to this amazing YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, and share this video to other individuals. Remember to turn on the notification bell so that any day, anytime I post any video, you people get notified. Watch my videos from the beginning up to the end without skipping those ads that you see there. Let us show love to this YouTube channel. Let us like all my videos. Ladies and gentlemen, DEE MWANGO yesterday did a live stream with her brother, I am MARWA, and as usual, whenever MARWA opens his mouth, there seems to be a lot of drama. This time, one thing caught my attention. MARWA wants his GoPro back. Finding Ian is still at the villa. And just 3 days ago, he has posted a video from the villa. At this point, I don't think I will call him Finding Ian anymore. I'm going to call him Shameless Ian, because there is a live stream where MARWA directly called him out. MARWA accused Finding Ian of being lazy and said that he doesn't do anything. He also claimed that Ian never contributed to the house and told him that that was the last time I want to see you in my house. And honestly, that left me asking one big question. What is Finding Ian still doing at MARWA's villa? Think about it. According to Censor's own words, Ian is not employed there. He's not a family member to Censor, and he has not, or is not someone from the same community or the tribe. So, if MARWA has already told him that he doesn't contribute anything and that he doesn't want to see him in his house again, why is Finding Ian still there? And then Censor brought up another issue. He told DEE MWANGO that Finding Ian has his GoPro. MARWA even said he doesn't want to bring this drama to DEE MWANGO's channel, but he wants Ian to return his GoPro. And at that moment, I was like, okay, that's enough. MARWA wants his GoPro back. So the question becomes, why is Ian still at the villa, and why hasn't MARWA's GoPro been returned? This whole situation raises more questions than answers, and I'm very curious to see how it plays out. And this tells me that maybe in the next live stream, MARWA is going hard on Shameless Ian. Ladies and gentlemen, let us dissect all these things that I've talked about, and I have one question. Where is the shame? Because when someone tells you you are lazy, you don't contribute to this house, and this is the last time I want to see you in my house, surely that should make you stop and ask yourself some serious questions. For those who don't remember the time that Censor said these words, remember when Censor said the only person who convinced Gitiriba to buy the iPhone 17 Pro Max is finding Ian. And Marwa said a lot of things about finding, and yet finding Ian is still at the villa. At this point, I'm not interested in the name Finding Ian today. And that is why when I was starting by giving us a small synopsis about Finding Ian, I told us I'm going to use Shameless Ian, because after everything Senso alleged said publicly, I genuinely don't understand what is keeping this man at the villa. Even people now are questioning that. Is it that in Kenya, people have that thick skin, even if you're being called out names, you still try to get salvage in the same homestead that you are? And then there is another bombshell. Senso says Shameless Ian has GoPro and wants it back. Now, Shameless Ian, this is where I need to talk to you directly. Yeah? Shameless Ian, read the room. Sometimes you don't need someone to physically remove you from a place. Sometimes a person telling you directly that they don't want you, there shouldn't or should be enough. Marwa alleged, said you are lazy. He alleged, said you don't do anything. He alleged that said you didn't contribute to the house. This tells us that you are not even employed in that villa. Now, whether you agree with Marwa or not, why remain somewhere when the person who owns or controls that space has publicly expressed that he doesn't want you there? That's where personally or personal dignity comes in. You have to know when your presence is no longer welcomed. Right now, Shameless Ian, Kenge does not need you. And let me bring in the contribution question and let us talk about it. If you are staying in somebody else's house, you don't necessarily have to be wealthy. You don't have to be paying rent every day, but you should contribute something. Help with work. That is one thing. Now that Kenge does not have somebody that he can call maybe a good manager, because the other time we saw him bringing Daniel to be the manager, and Daniel with no brain, you cannot control. The last time, there is a lot of accusations about Daniel, where somebody went to do some medical stuffs in the villa, and at the end of it, that individual is being told that we are not going to pay you until this animal becomes so much stable. Let me ask, when you go to the hospital, do you receive treatment? Okay, let me just frame this, how it works in Kenya. Irregardless when you die or you don't die, irregardless when you ill or you stay sick, you have to pay the bills that the hospital has written for you. You have to pay for that. So now it reached a point that a professional goes to the villa, ask for money. The first statement that is being told, the money you are asking for is a lot of money. Then the second thing you're being told is that the boss has said the animal has to be stable is when you get your money. This brings us to something that nobody will want to go to that villa, and that's the reality. Yeah, I'm not interested in going to the villa. Why should I even go there? I have no purpose for going there. So if you're in that villa, help with work, help with responsibilities, bring value, show appreciation. Yeah, you have to show. Don't think about hacking channels and how to do this and this. Yeah, you know, This is the time now Kenya said he doesn't want, because there is a big difference between being a guest and becoming comfortably in someone else's space. A guest understands that they are guests. A guest doesn't behave as though the house belongs to them. A guest knows what is the time to leave. The other time when I saw finding Ian coming to the villa with, I don't know, a podcast, something of sort. So it was like he was migrating to the villa. Unfortunately, things have now turned out to be different. But now we come to the other part that really got my attention, the GoPro. MARWA tells DEE MWANGO that Shameless Ian has his GoPro and that he wants the GoPro back. MARWA even says he doesn't want to bring drama to DEE MWANGO's channel. This tells us a lot. There is a lot of things waiting for Finding Ian. Well, MARWA, at this point, the drama is already sitting right there, because if someone is publicly asking for property back, the simplest thing should be give the man his GoPro back. No argument, no unnecessary drama, no live stream wars. If it belongs to MARWA, return it to him. If it is there another side of this story, then Shameless Ian should explain his side clearly. And let me ask this, and this is the question I keep coming back to. Why are you still at the villa? If MARWA has publicly confronted you, if MARWA says you don't contribute anything, if MARWA says he doesn't want to see you in his villa or house, if MARWA says you have his GoPro, what exactly is the plan? Because from the outside looking in, this does not look good. Sometimes you have to understand that overstaying your welcome can completely change how people perceive you. And let me say this, a hard lecture of dignity. Shameless Ian, let me say that what applies beyond this particular situation, never force yourself into space where you are no longer wanted. Life is too short. If someone gives you an opportunity, appreciate it. If someone gives you shelter, respect it. If someone gives you access to their house, respect their boundary. And when that person tells you it is time to go, don't turn the situation into a circus. Walk away with dignity, because sometimes living is not losing. Sometimes living is winning. You preserve your reputation, you preserve your dignity, and you avoid unnecessary drama. Ladies and gentlemen, how many times have I said that Finding Ian does not require moral sensor to grow the channel? He doesn't require that. Look at Gitiriba. The last time we were telling Gitiriba that you don't require moral sensor, you were like, hey, where will I go? Now see, you're even doing better than how you were in moral sensor's villa. And let me challenge Shameless Ian to tell his side. Now, before people say I am attacking Shameless Ian, let me be very clear. I wasn't inside that villa. I don't know every conversation that happened behind the camera. I'm reacting to what has been publicly said and shown. So, Shameless Ian, if MARWA's version is wrong, tell your side. Do you contribute? Do you help around the house? What are you still doing there? And most important, where is Mura Sensor's GoPro? Those are simple questions. Answer them. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Shameless Ian, if you're watching this is bigger than censor. It is about respect, boundaries, dignity. You don't want people looking at you and asking why you are still somewhere after you are alleged being told that you are not wanted. And if there is a misunderstanding, clear it up. You have Censor's GoPro, address that issue. If censor accusations are false, defend yourself, because your name is already in thousands of viewers. But don't just sit there and allow the situation to become very bigger and bigger, because when people start asking, why is he still there? You know the situation has reached another level. So, Shameless Ian, my message is simple. Know when to stay, know when to contribute, and most importantly, know when it is time to leave. That's not humiliation, that is maturity. Now we are heading to DEE MWANGO's conversation. Let us watch this clip, then we dive deep into it. Stay tuned.
She's the one who is called Kino?
No, Kino is another good friend of mine. Can you ask?
Oh, Kino, how are you, good friend?
I need to invite him, actually.
Yes, Kino.
Yeah.
You, the day you feel comfortable. Me, I'll be around from November. Visit Africa, Kino. Visit Africa, you see Kenya, you vlog.
Even if my video will not be complete, I'll talk to my brother.
You will stay at my place. You don't have to worry about that, Kino.
Yeah. He's a very good friend of mine. He was showing me around in Jamaica. We're always
even me, if I come back to Jamaica, I will meet you, bro. 100%.
Yeah.
And if you're coming to Kenya, especially if I'm around, you just check if I'm around. No appointments, just show up.
Yeah.
From that conversation, let us give ourselves some flashback. Isn't DEE MWANGO married to Pero, the Polish man? While she was in Jamaica, she apparently met a man named Kino. During Mwango's live stream, she mentioned Kino, and Kenge asked, is Kino Shen? Dee responded, no, it is not Shen, it is Kino. Then Marwa said that whenever Kino comes to the village, he can come to his house anytime without even making an appointment. He basically said, just show up and you will be welcome. But then DEE MWANGO jumped in and said, yes, he's a good man. He took care of me when I was in Jamaica. When he comes to Kenya, he will stay at my mansion. And I will. And I was sitting there thinking, wait a minute. What? Aren't you a married woman? You have a husband, and now you are publicly saying that another man you met in Jamaica can come to Kenya and stay at your mansion. Kino, what exactly is going on here? Because this is where things become interesting. There have already been speculations and allegations online about the nature of DEE MWANGO and Kino's relationship. I'm not saying that allegations are true, but when people have been speculating about the two of you, and then you publicly speak so highly of Kino and offer him a place to stay at your mansion, naturally, people are going to start asking questions. And then I have another question. Where was this energy? Same energy that you are showing us about Kino. Where was this same energy for Shen? When Shen came out and spoke positively about DEE MWANGO, the response was basically that she had met many people around this world and she doesn't necessarily keep in contact with all of them. So, what changed? How is Kino suddenly getting that or this VIP treatment? Sensor is saying Kino can walk into his village home without an appointment. And D is saying that when Kino comes to Kenya, he can stay at her mansion. That is completely different level of hospitality. And I'm not here to tell a married woman who she can or cannot be friends with. Adults are free to have friends of any gender, but when you're married, boundaries really matter, especially when the friendship is already attracted public speculation. So my question isn't simple. Who is Kino? My question is, why is Kino receiving this kind of special treatment, and why is DEE and Censor going out their way to public emphasize on how to welcome his? Is this not, or is Censor not preparing a coffin for Kino? Because it is alleged that DEE MWANGO, she's married with Pero with no dowry. I don't know if the MWANGO was being given out for free. I don't know that. Yeah, videos are there. There is nowhere we are being told that because the other time they were to come to Africa to do a traditional wedding in Africa with Pero. Now Pero left. No wedding, no dowry discussion, nothing. So this means I don't want to break another person who was being given to Tanzania. I don't want to talk about politics. Kenyan politics, let me leave politics for politics. I know a lot of people, maybe they want to say that I wanted to talk about Charlene, yeah? But that is not what I wanted to say, yeah? So let us dive deep to this entire discussion and see about DEE. We need to talk about Kino. DEE MWANGO today is genuinely want us to have a conversation, because I watched that live stream and that was one moment that made me stop and say, wait, did she really just say that? MARWA asked about Kino. They confirmed that Kino is not Shane. Then Censor says Kino can come in his house and in the village anytime without any appointment. Then DEE jumps and says Kino is a good guy, that he took care of her when she was in Jamaica, and that she goes even further. When he comes to Kenya, he will stay at my mansion. DEE, let us talk, because when you're married, statement like that naturally raises questions about boundaries, perception, and respect for your marriage. I'm not saying DEE and Kino are romantically involved. I'm not claiming that. I'm reacting to what DEE MWANGO herself said publicly. Let me say about DEE, friendship is fine, but boundaries really matter a lot. And a married woman can have male friends. A married man can have female friends. That's normal. But marriage requires boundary. And sometimes something can completely, which can be innocent in your mind, but still look questionable from the outside. That is why you have to be very careful about the message you're sending publicly, because saying he's a good guy is one thing. Saying when he comes to Kenya, he will stay at my mansion, it is completely different level of hospitality. Why your mansion? DEE, this part I want to explain to you. Why does Kino have to stay at your mansion? You are married, you have a husband. There are hotels, there are guest house, there are Airbnb properties, there are many places someone visiting Kenya can stay. So when you publicly volunteer your own home as accommodation for a male friend, people are naturally going to ask questions. That's not necessarily because they are jealousy. That's because public perception matters when you are a public figure, and especially when people are already discussing your friendship with this particular person. You should understand why this statement attracts attention. And let me talk about Shane comparison, because some months ago, when you were Poland, Shane Carr came on camera and spoke a lot of things. This is where I think this story is becoming interesting. When Shane was speaking positively about you, you basically made the point that you have met many people around the world, and that you don't necessarily maintain relationships with everyone you meet. Yeah, fair enough. But then Kino comes along, and suddenly we are hearing about how good he is, how he took care of you in Jamaica, and how he can stay at your mansion when he comes to Kenya. DEE, what is the difference? Why does Kino appears to receive this level of warmth and access, while Shane was treated as just another person you met during your travel? Then you came even on camera and tell her that it was only my photograph man. I'm not saying you own Shane anything. I'm asking about the consistency of the standard. And let me discuss about Censor's role. Because Censor says, Kino, come to his house anytime, no appointment, just show up and you will be welcome. DEE then reinforce that message. Now, maybe Kino genuinely built a good relationship with both of you. Maybe even Censor went ahead and said that if I go to Jamaica, I'm 100% sure I'll be meeting Kino. Now, maybe you were there for DEE when he needed help in Jamaica. Maybe that is simply friendship. That's possible. But if that's the case, say that clearly. Explain the friendship. Explain the history. Don't leave the audience to fill the blanks. Because when you give people half the story, people will create the other half of your story. And you are a public figure. DEE, here's my biggest advice for you. You are not living a completely private life anymore. You are live stream. You travel. You have an audience. People watch your relationship, your friendship, your family, and your lifestyle. That means you have to understand that every statement carries weight. And you have to put that into consideration. You may say something casually. Your audience may hear something completely different. That's the price of being a public figure. And I'm not saying you have or you should live your life according to what strangers think. Absolutely not. But when you're married, protecting your relationship should be one of your priorities. Sometimes you don't need to prove that a friendship is innocent. Sometimes you simply need to establish boundaries that make the situation very clear. And let me tell you, so DEE, have your friends, travel, meet people, build international friendship, do whatever makes you happy. But remember that marriage comes with responsibility. Think before you publicly offer your home to another man. Think about how your husband might interpret that. Think about how your audience will interpret it. And most importantly, think about whether you will be comfortable if the situation were reversed. If Pero suddenly announced publicly, when these female friends come to Kenya, she will stay at the mansion. Will DEE be completely comfortable with that? That's the question I want us to ask yourself. Again, I'm not accusing DEE MWANGO and Kino of being a couple. I'm not claiming that something inappropriate is happening. I'm reacting to what is posted in publicly and what was said publicly. But DEE, if you're watching this video, understand why people are asking questions. You yourself created the conversation when you publicly said Kino could stay at your mansion. So don't be surprised when people discuss it. And Kino, if you are genuinely just a friend, there is nothing wrong with saying that. Yeah, because I know people will say the history about DEE MWANGO and Kino, but I don't want to bring that history. What happened between DEE MWANGO and Kino and how the fallout. And at the end of the day, Friendship is a friendship, but marriage requires boundary. Protect your marriage, protect your fake husband, protect your reputation, and don't give people unnecessary reason to question something that may actually be completely innocent, because sometimes it is not where you are doing, or it is not what you are doing. It is the message your actions are sending. And that is my take on Kino situation. Stay tuned. Let us meet in the next video. Goodbye for now. Until we meet again. Goodbye.